you need to do is actually fill out a one-page essay for this scholarship application. But people did not know that just because there weren't specific electrical engineering scholarships at the time, it didn't mean that by the time their scholarship got reviewed, there might be more. And that's what happened this year. We have 10 scholarships for biotechnology for each year for first-year students. So it's definitely a really good thing to just apply, regardless of whether you have high need or moderate need. I mean, if you don't need the scholarships, you're not necessarily going to apply. But if you find that you need more money for specifically to live in the area or move out of your parents' home or whatever you wanted to do, scholarships are definitely something you want to apply for. External scholarships, AAUW is definitely a great avenue for some scholarships. There are also other organizations that support specific things. And so you look for those scholarships, and the financial aid office can help you do that. So get to know your financial aid officer. Summer Scholars. So at Cal State San Marcos, we have a program called Summer Scholars, where we actually bring in about 70 students each year to do summer research with our faculty. And we get donations from local industry to do that. So ISAT is one, but Thermo Fisher, a lot from Illumina this year, a lot from Genentech, Hologic, and Qualcomm. So we have, all sorts of different scholarships for the summer scholars. So you get paid about $7,000 over the summer to actually work in somebody's lab. And this year we have 4 of them in oceanography. So I wanted to point that out, that it's across all fields. And we have some collaboratives with the College of Business. We have some collaboratives with the College of Education, Health and Human Services, that type of thing. So there's a lot of broad interest there. But those types of programs, again, an application process. And when you see it come across your email, you got to pay attention to it. Or if you see it out, on the video screens, pay attention to it. We also have some other programs. So CSTEM Fellows is one that's a new one to try to get people to engage in the activities that we really value. So you would engage in the activities and then get a $500 scholarship after you do that semester. So there are some programs like that. There's a lot of state university grants available. There's jobs on campus. Those are really valuable because once you get a job on campus, then it's easier for other departments to hire you. So let's say you get a job in the library, but you really want to work for the chemistry department. Once you have that job in the library, it only takes a matter of days to hire you in chemistry. And so if they suddenly need somebody, then if you apply for that position, it takes a month to hire somebody else, and it takes 2 days to hire you. They're gonna jump at that. So just a little bit of words to the wise that getting any job on campus actually is an intro to getting the job you want. Let's see, internships and co-op experiences. So co-op is something that's coming to our campus. It's going to be applied for through the internship office in the same way as internships. Our electrical engineers, 19 out of 20 had internships. And out of those 19, 12 are being hired by the company where they did their internship. So does that tell you that that is a legit pathway to your career? So if you choose your internship wisely and you find one that that is a good place to work, then there's a good chance that you're going to get a job offer there. And then the last thing I want to talk about is that student loans are a hot topic in the news right now. And in some respects, student loans are getting a bad rap. And the reason I say that is that if you go to a campus where it costs $80,000 a year, taking out $80,000 a year in loans would be really tough to pay back, right? But if you're going to Cal State San Marcos in software engineering jobs pay $110,000 for our bachelor's level students right out the door, right? Well, if you're going to take $40,000 of loans total over 4 years to avoid working in your, in and out job, and to be able to pay more attention to your classes, that's a really good investment. Okay, so it's very different, the $40,000 versus the $300,000 loans. That's a good investment. So you need to actually look at what your prospects are of paying that loan off, and your financial aid advisors can help you with that. But loans are definitely a good part of the package. You just don't want to overwhelm yourself with debt when you graduate. So I just want to warn you that it's not never take out a loan. That's not what we're saying. When we say watch out for student loan debt, we mean don't overload yourself with student loan debt. But if you're taking out $10,000 a year for 4 years to be able to graduate on time and that sort of thing, that's worthwhile. Okay. All right, go ahead, Linda. So I just wanted to see if there are any questions after all of that.
That was really interesting, Jackie. And I'll just throw in here, you mentioned the cooperative program. And at NASA, I'd say most of our engineers were hired through our co-op program, that we had many co-op engineering students there at NASA for, as you said, 6 months of the year, and then they go back to school for 6 months. And at the end of their bachelor's, they usually had a job with us.
That's great to know, Linda. I will add NASA to the list.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Edith just says a stunning amount of specific info for our tech trekkers. Yes, indeed. And I'll just say, if you want to turn back on your video so you can raise your hand or something, or if you want to unmute yourself and just ask a question, feel free to do that. So this is a great opportunity to have a one-on-one with the dean of STEM at Cal State San Marcos.
So I love the question in the chat. How do you get used to new jobs and switching from places? So I think that a little bit of sense of adventure is actually really important, and knowing that you might not like the job that you go to. When I was a co-op student, the first job I did, I really liked. I was putting computer controls onto a chemical system. That was great. But the second job was more like what most chemical engineers do. And that was just kind of fighting daily fires that come up, not really literal fires, but sometimes they could be. It wasn't in my experience, but just you're making poor products. So what do? You have to do it right away. And it's very high pressure. And I didn't like that as much. And I didn't feel as connected to that job. So I just went back and changed. I was a mess. I was a basket case about making that change. This is what I wanted to do for my whole life. Oh my gosh, what do I do? And I talked to my parents and finally, just opened up about what I was thinking. They were like, the difference between biochemistry and chemical engineering is not significant. You're going to end up somewhere in your career where you want to go, regardless of how you started out that degree. And that has been my experience, that people end up in positions where they ultimately wanted to go from all sorts of different paths. Your degree choice is not pigeonholing you to one specific field. But when you start moving around the country, you start appreciating, what is it that I really liked about San Diego, or what is it that I really like about this new place? So I'm in Humboldt right now for my son's graduation, and he is moving to San Antonio, Texas. And boy, Humboldt is very wet and cold, and San Antonio, well, not cold, but wet and kind of temperate. But San Antonio is dry and hot. So it's going to be a really big switch, and it's an adventure. And that's all you can say, is just trying new things. Okay, do students have to enroll at Cal State San Marcos to apply for the summer internship? Yes and no. So for 58 of the positions, they have to be somehow affiliated with Cal State San Marcos, but 12 of them are what we call REU, or Research Experience for Undergraduates. And that's a National Science Foundation program that is for college students across the country. So you can apply for those 12 internships. And that's a biology one. It's focused on genetics and sequencing data and learning how to do that. So some programs, there are these programs called REUs across the country, and you can apply as soon as you're a freshman. You can apply. So first year, you can apply for these, and typically, if you apply in the first year, you get it by the second year. If you don't get it that first year. So what they are is just these research experiences, and you can look on the National Science Foundation website and just look for REU, and they will be in really specific, really oddly specific fields or really broad fields, and you can try either one. So we probably send 100 students a year out on these internships. So it's something that is available to you no matter what school you go to.
Interesting.
Good way to try a new place too. Like there's a lot of them in Boston. And so we have students who go to Boston and say, oh, that was a really fun place to be, but it's really expensive even compared to San Diego, that type of thing. But I love Boston. That's I'm picking on them, but that's the only place I can think of that's going to be a lot more expensive.
It's interesting because NASA sent me to an internship in Boston for 10-week internship through Simmons College, and I absolutely loved Boston. Yeah. I'd be on the phone with my husband talking about how wonderful it was, and he kept telling me, remember the winters, remember the winters.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Oh,
let's see, what traits do you value in students you teach the most? That's a great question, because students come up to you and they think if they're not getting an A, that you don't like them or something along those lines. And I got to tell you that actually the interest in the subject and tenacity, those are the things that really make me kind of resonate with a student. So just the fact that they want to do better, or they have a problem and they want to talk it out with you, that type of thing, that's a really big deal. But it's very important that you treat your faculty as humans. Like, they are going to make mistakes. They are going to say things